EA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Starting at pole position is Lightning McQueen with Jamie McCurry to his outside. Row 2 has Jeff Gorvette and Cal Weathers, both previous Piston Cup champions. Row 3 has David Rudikar and Mark Carton, who is a very nice racer. Row 4 has the Rocket, Ryan Newcar, and Bobby Swift to his outside. Row 5 has Denny Carlin and the number 12 car, Brad Karslowski. Row 6 has Casey Corner and the jumper, Jeff Burnton, to his outside. I wonder what they're going to do. And row 7 has Brick Hicks, the nice Hicks, and the mean orange car, Joey Lagirno. Row 8 has Kurt Bushtire, who should not say a certain word, and Juan Pablo Montoya. Row 9 has Brick Yardley and Greg Beeple to his outside. Row 10 has Rex Reveler and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who are both underperforming expectations. Row 11 has Speedy Comet and David Raycar, who in recent weeks are overperforming expectations. Row 12 has Bobby Carboni, who used to qualify every week, and Tony Gasworth to his outside. Row 13 has Morey Clutchburn and T.G. Castlenut, who has surprised us all sometimes. Row 14 has Clint Bokar and Phil Tankson. I wonder if they'll finish in the top half. Row 15 has Matt Karzith, the 2003 Piston Cup champion, and Hank Weathers. Row 16 has Ernie Gearson and Chip Gearings, who have qualified for nearly every race. Row 17 has Dud Throttleman and Martin Carrix Jr. I wonder what they're going to do. And row 18 has Kyle Bushtire and Kevin Karvik. This should not be row 18. And row 19 has Mike Yankee Jr. and Carl Edwards. Why are they qualifying so badly? But row 20 has Reb Meeker and Todd Marcus. This row actually makes sense. Row 21 has Darren Ledfoot and Jimmy Cables. I wonder what they're going to do this race. And starting in 43rd is Jack DePost. And these 6 cars, among many others, failed to qualify for this race. Now, let's get on to the race. Lightning McQueen would lead for the first 3 laps of the race before he'd lose the lead to Jeff Gorvette, who would lead all the way until lap 37 before he'd lose the lead to Cal Weathers, who would lead until lap 46 before he'd lose the lead to Jamie McCurry, who would lead all the way until lap 85 before Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 5 laps before Jeff Gorvette would be back in the lead. He'd lead for 50 laps before Denny Carlin would take the lead for himself, leading for 6 laps. But then Kevin Karvik would take the lead for himself and lead for 5 laps before Denny Carlin would be back in the lead, leading until lap 174, where Jamie McCurry would once again take the lead, leading until lap 206, where Kyle Bushtire would take the lead for himself. He'd lead until lap 228, where Matt Karzith would be second as of that lap, but Jamie McCurry would beat him to the lead, leading until lap 231, when Brick Yardley would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 4 laps before Jeff Burnton would jump over him and lead until lap 260. But the other Jeff Gorvette, would take the lead from him and lead the next 13 laps before Kyle Bushtire would once again take the lead, leading until lap 290, where his teammate Denny Carlin would take the lead from him. But on lap 309, their other teammate, Joey Lagirno, would be 24th. And then he'd wreck! Who does he wreck? Mike Yankee Jr., Phil Tankson, Hank Weathers, Speedy Comet, T.G. Castlenut, Brick Hicks, Casey Corner, Bobby Carboni, Jimmy Cables, Todd Marcus, and Jack DePost. Right! And Clint Bokar is now down 20 laps! Lightning McQueen would take the lead after the restart and lead for 5 laps before Denny Carlin would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 340, where Jeff Burnton would take the lead from himself by using the wall. But on lap 344, Denny Carlin would be back in the lead. He'd lead all the way until lap 387, where Lightning McQueen would once again retake the lead, leading until lap 403, where Kurt Bushtire would take the lead from himself, leading for 10 laps before Chip Gearings would take the lead off of pit cycles. But Lightning McQueen would be back in the lead leading until lap 428, where Denny Carlin would once again take the lead. He'd lead for 5 laps before Greg Beeple would take the lead for himself, leading for 11 laps, before Lightning McQueen would be back in the lead. He'd lead all the way until lap 480, but then Jamie McCarty would take the lead from him. And 4 laps later, Lightning McQueen would be back in the lead. He'd lead all the way until the checkered flag, where he'd win the 2010 No Stall Southern 500. Denny Carlin would finish second this race, Jamie McCarty third, Jeff Gorvette fourth, and Kurt Buschtire rounding out the top 5. And Corey Turbowitz asked Darren Leadfoot why he did not lead a lap, and this was Darren Leadfoot's response. And here is the top 20 of the race, where surprisingly Darren Leadfoot is missing, and the jumper Jeff Burnton only finished in 8th, behind Kyle Buschtire, the mean yellow car, and Cal Weathers rounds out the top 10. I do not get the rest of the top 20 though. But here is the second half, with Darren Leadfoot finishing 21st, and Greg Beeple and Tony Gasworth right behind him. How? And Moray Clutchburn would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 30th, just behind Chip Gearings, who does not have a DNF. And unfortunately, Phil Tankson and Mike Yankee Jr. are the bottom 2. And here is the top 20 in points, where Lightning McQueen leads by almost 700 points! How? And the Buschtire brothers need to stop doing bad things. Either that's saying a bad word or wrecking other cars.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Not much to say other than Matt Karseth still somehow cannot lead a lap. And also, Lightning McQueen is way too dominant. The contest is who will finish second, not win the cup. And the 28th race of the 2010 Piston Cup season will be coming out tomorrow. Something that we wish could happen sooner than tomorrow is the end of the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are tired of war and just want to live in peace and have freedom. But now, if they do get it, they wouldn't be able to enjoy very much of it, because many Ukrainians, their power is down, leaving them in the cold and in the dark. And why is this? The tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin started an unjustified war against Ukraine 9 months ago. Why would you need to invade Ukraine? You already have enough land of your own. And we at the hashtag K-Bullets YouTube channel will continue to stand with Ukraine. Slava Ukrainie! Героям слава! Нехай світі дарується Україні перемога!